Hi, I'm Bob Sweeney for the City of Juneau Cable Channel 991, here with another episode of the Juneau Garden. Today we're in Neosho in the family of
The Dodge-Jefferson Homestead.
Dodge-Jefferson Homestead.
Yeah.
And you are?
Robin.
Okay, and your husband's name is?
Steve.
Okay, we'll meet him a little later. What are we doing here today?
Today we're...
Oh, wait a minute. Back up a little bit. You're a member of a club. What's the name of your club?
So we're the Dodge-Jefferson County Beekeeping Association. We're a non-profit club, and we're having a club extraction today.
What does that mean to say we're having an extraction today?
Today we're getting the honey off of the frames. So we've harvested our honey from the hive, and now we're taking it off the frames.
Okay, and you're using an extractor to do that with.
And we're using an extractor,
Okay.
yes. So there's a little bit of a process to it, and we'll kind of go through that.
Okay, good. There he is.
Hello.
Say hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
I'm gonna get some bees outside here.
Okay, thank you.
We want them on the outside.
We actually have a, one of our scholarship that we're working with today. His name is Shane, and this is his first time doing the extraction. So he's never done this before. He's a new beekeeper, so it's kind of exciting. He's doing pretty good, actually. He's right behind us here. We have some entertainment coming from above.
They won't bother you.
All right, very good.
They won't bother you.
Well, let's go meet Shane then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi.
Hi,
What's your name?
Shane
Shane
Lappin,
Lappin. And where are you from, Shane? Shane.
Beaver Dam.
Beaverbird. All righty. This is your honey.
Yes, it is.
And how is it that you got started in beekeeping?
I applied for a scholarship with the Dodge-Jefferson County Beekeeping Association, and I won.
You were one of the persons who won, huh?
Yeah, there's two people, one from Jefferson County and one from Dodge County.
Well, that makes sense, being it's the Dodge-Jefferson Club, right? Okay, good. What initially got you interested in becoming a beekeeper?
Well, both me and my neighbor have gardens, and I thought it would be interesting to see another aspect of the pollination and another aspect of gardening.
Okay. When did you set up your hives? This year, right?
Yep.
When?
Late April, early May.
Okay. And you said you did it because you thought it would help your garden.
Yep.
Did it help your garden?
Yes, it did.
Explain that, please.
I got more produce, a lot more flowers, and more pollination because of the bees.
So, could you tell the different kinds of honey you were making based on what happened to be in bloom at the time?
I couldn't, but my mentor could, yes.
Other people could. And who's your mentor?
Louis Antonioni.
Louis, come on in here. Hi. Hi. Thank you for being a mentor here.
You're welcome.
Good man to work with?
Good man to work with, hard worker.
Okay. And how many hives do you set these people up with?
Just one hive. We do fundraising throughout the year, and we set up, as you said, a scholarship winner from Jefferson and Dodge County. One hive to get all the PPE, the protective equipment, a smoker, three boxes, two brood boxes and a super with all the frames. So they got everything they need. And then they get a mentor, which is me in this case, because he was very close to where I live and where I work. He's learned a lot, I think. I believe he's learned a lot. Enjoyed it. Hasn't got stung yet.
Once.
Once he got stung.
What? Only once? You must be doing something right. Dressing well, huh? Okay. What were you doing here just a little while earlier when we first started interviewing?
I'm using a hot knife and scraping off the, it's called capped brood, or capped honey, and we're just scraping off the cap so when they put it into the extruder, the honey is drawn out of the comb.
Well, why don't you grab this and explain the caps?
Oh. We got another scholarship lady just walked in.
So this white here is capping the honey in.
So there's a honeycomb,
Yep.
correct? And the bees make the comb,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
And then they fill it with honey, and then,
They put the capping on it.
and what's the cap? What material is it? Is it wax or what is it?
Yep, it's
It is
wax.
wax, okay.
Same wax that the comb is made out of.
Oh, okay.
So what they do is they get it to a 18% moisture content or less, preferably less, and then they'll cap it over. So when it's capped like this, you know it's honey is ready for harvesting.
And what's this? Is this called a frame?
That's called a frame. That's
Okay.
a shallow frame.
And this one is really filled up well, hasn't it?
Yep, that is almost perfect.
Now, show us what you were doing.
just taking this hot knife and slowly scraping these caps off here.
And you're taking the caps off because?
So we can expose the honey, so when we put it in the extractor, the honey can draw out of the comb.
Be forced out, huh? I can't do that with the caps on.
No.
Well, now you didn't get all of them, right? So you have to do something else?
Yeah, we use this little scraper and just break them open.
Just as long as they're broken open, the honey can come out.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Do you need to do that on both sides or is just one side enough?
Both sides.
And then all these frames have to be done this way.
Yes.
So Louis, why don't you come back in here? Well, we're going to take a look at the extractor again later, but how many frames will that hold?
That will hold 12 frames. In this case, he brought 18 frames today, so we're dividing it up. 9 and 9, we're going to do 2 spins for him.
You need that for balance, I assume.
Balance, it still might not be balanced. It'll be a little iffy. You might have to do a little adjusting. So what it does is it spins, it's a wash machine and spin cycle, if you will. It's centrifugal force pulling the honey out of the frames. He hasn't done that yet. This will be new for him, so we'll have him run the machine and show you how that works.
Okay, good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, me too.
Well, you should, boy, even more than me.
So just point at it here, and we got bees hatching here. The queen came up and laid some brood up in this honey frame. And so these all hatched around here, and these nurse bees, you can see their tails sticking out, are cleaning out the
Try not to cut the brood open.
cells.
And when the cells are clean, will the queen lay more, or?
She'll lay another egg in there after the
Or put
cells are
honey.
cleaned out.
But you have, see, half of it is honey,
Right.
the other half is essentially being used for brood?
Well, this is a honey frame, so
Uh-huh.
this should just be honey. But
Oh.
she may have been ran out of room in the brood frames, and now she's moved up to lay some more eggs. A lot of times we put a queen excluder on between the supers, the honey supers. This is called the honey super, and deeper ones are brood, so they don't come up. She doesn't come up a lot, so a lot of times we put a queen excluder on her to keep her down, so she doesn't get up here. And it's a timing thing. You know, you encourage her to come up, but then you don't want her to come up. So it's a timing thing to get that on, let these hatch out. 2 more days, these would all be free, and then it'd be easier to extract.
Okay, Steve, who do we have with us here now?
This is Holly. She's our other youth in beekeeping scholarship winner.
And she must be from Jefferson County.
I'm from Dodge County, actually, just
Really?
over the border.
Oh, okay, but you're near Jefferson enough,
Yes,
huh? Okay,
like
good.
3 blocks away.
Oh, and where do you live?
I live in Watertown.
Okay. And what got you interested in beekeeping?
Well, last year I applied for the scholarship also, and I didn't win, so I wanted to try again. I've just been very interested in many different things, and this is something I wanted to try.
All right. You live on a farm, or you live right in the city, or what?
I live right in town, actually.
All right, now you have a hive, obviously. How has that had an effect on whatever you happen to be growing?
Our neighbors across the bridge, like 4 houses down, they have a bunch of fruit trees. And our neighbors right next door also have fruit trees, and we have a nice sized garden. We've done really well with our tomatoes this year. That's the main thing that we grow.
Okay. Now, what is this that Shane was working with, this bucket or this tub right here?
This is called a capping bucket.
Capping bucket?
Capping bucket. That's what we use to take the caps off the frames. And then there's holes in here, so the capped wax goes in here, and the honey drains down here. Then we can recoup that honey that's draining out of the cappings. And then we use these cappings. You can make this wax. You can render it down. You can make candles. You can make lip balm. You can make hand cream, if you so choose.
So do some club members do that?
Yeah, we have some club members that do a lot of hand dip candles, which is kind of neat to see. I've done some votive candles and molds, and I've tried some lip balm, but I haven't been so successful at it yet.
Does it taste like honey, by the way?
Not so much, not as much as you would think, but I tried some. I mean, I've never done it, so I have tried some different recipes and experimented with a few things, and it didn't turn out real good. So this year will be another adventure.
So this wax will have another life.
Yes, nothing gets wasted. And these frames, after they're extracted through the extractor, they'll be called wet. They'll still have residues of honey on them. We'll take those, we'll put them back in the box, and we'll set the box out in the yard next to the bees, and the bees will come and they'll clean the frames up. It's called robbing. and there'll just be a big cloud of bees, and they'll chew off whatever wax is left on the outside, and then they'll clean all that honey off.
They're eating it.
They're taking it back to the hive.
Oh, they're taking it back to the
Yeah,
hive.
they're robbing it, you know.
Okay.
And they'll take it back to the hive, and then when they're all done, a couple days later, then we'll take these and store them till next year.
You don't have to do anything else with them
No.
because the bees have taken care of all
Bees
of it.
taking care of them, yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of neat. A little less work for you.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, you want to explain what's going on with the extractor?
Okay, we have all the frames decapped, and then they're an extractor. This is a 12-frame radial extractor. We have 18 frames today, so we're going to do 9 at a time. I try and balance it out, because sometimes this thing gets out of balance. It's like an old washing machine that's out of balance. You got to sit on it to get it from rocking. So once we get it going, we'll see how it goes, and sometimes we have to move frames around to get it balanced. So there's a variable switch on this side, and we'll turn it on slow, let it go, and then we'll turn it up, and the honey will get extracted radially out to the sides, come down, and then come out the bottom into this bucket here. Okay, so we can give it a little spin for you. Go on slow.
And then, do you know how many RPMs it is when it's at high speed?
I don't know how many RPMs it is. That's something we're trying to find out, because we're having a little problem with the switch. So we're trying to find that out in the process. It needs a little repair after all the years of use.
This is the club's extractor.
Club's extractor, yeah.
So this goes from farm to farm or location to location?
Yeah, people will borrow it. We'll have club extractions usually 2, maybe 3 times a year, where the members will come and be able to use it. And then throughout the year, if they can't make the extraction, they can borrow it from Louis and take it to their place and do it at their convenience. Okay, so just go on, start out slow. Go a little more. That's good. Let it kind of get up to speed a little bit. Starting to come? Yeah. There she is. So now you can see how the honey's been extracted out of the frames. Frames are all empty. Now we'll put these back in the box, and we'll set the box out in the yard, and the bees will come and they'll clean all this wet honey off of there, and they'll take it back to their hives. Like I said, it's called robbing, where they'll take all that back to the hives for them, and we'll just let them do it, and then they're clean for us, and then we store them for winter until we need them next spring.
Okay.
So what you got there?
Okay, well this is Uther, and he has been molting, so he's not as beautiful as normal. And behind him is his girl, Guinevere, and she's they're both male and female turkeys. And we've got our chickens. Oh my goodness. We have a little
so
bit.
who decided on Uther and Guinevere?
We name all of our chickens and our animals. It helps us know which ones that we're talking about, but he just looked like an Uther. I think we both kind of agreed on it. We were thinking of something kind of, the knights, the majestic type of name.
So do you have a Lancelot as a chicken or something?
We don't have a Lancelot. It's just Guinevere and Uther. Yeah. This is Monica. She's down there hiding out. And the rest of them are all behind us eating. I don't know if you can see them or not, but a lot of them are over there eating. The ducks are not here right now. I don't know where they're at. They're out running around. We've got a lot of critters here. We have goats, we have pigs, and the bees, and chickens. There's a lot happening on the farm.
How have the bees affected your farm? Now you have 5 acres here, right?
We have 5 acres.
Okay, you have a garden or anything like that?
We do have a garden, and they are all over. Right, I don't know if you can see it, but behind you we actually have raspberries that are coming up again for the season, and they go all over them. They were on there once it stopped raining today. They were all on there. We seem to get an abundance of raspberries. Oh boy, he wants to be the star of the show. By 2:30, it's all about you. Yeah, yeah. But we do all organic farming here, so it's really nice. We try to be very, very conscientious of the bees without having pesticides or anything that's going to harm them. And actually our garden does very well, except for when you organic farm, you have to deal with weeds, which is a bit of a challenge, but that's okay. Yeah, the bees have done a lot for us. We really, really enjoy them quite a bit on the farm. We keep growing. If you ever become a beekeeper and you start out with one hive, you tend to grow. We now have 9 hives. So, and we have another farmer who's willing to let us put more hives on their property, which is really nice. It's something that we just kind of keep adding to and really enjoy.
One of the reasons I wanted to do a video on bees, obviously it's gardening, okay? But the big story on bees is the decline in the number of bees.
Right.
Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, the decline of the bees is the main culprit is the mite. There's a Verona mite that's all bees have mites. I've been explained to it they're like germs. We have germs, bees have mites, and they can deal with some mites. They can't deal with a lot of mites. So the main thing is to keep your mite levels low by taking mite counts periodically through the year. Make sure your mite counts are low.
And how do you control that number?
There's a number of different ways. There's a number of chemicals on the market you can put, Half-A-Guard. There's different ones for spring and fall. We just got legalized in Wisconsin here this February, I think, to use acrylic acid, which is a organic-based material. We try and practice all organic farming, so we do a natural beekeeping. We don't use the chemicals. It's kind of a lot of people don't like that because there's a war on mites, and we should be taking care of the mites, you know.
But it did really well.
We're doing well with our acrylic acid. It's a routine you have to keep up on, just like anything. You can use powdered sugar as an organic method, but it's a routine. You have to stay on top of it.
Now, you said the mites are the main culprit, but there might be some other things that are a factor as well?
Well, a lot of us as beekeepers talk a lot about the pesticides and how they are really affecting how the bees are surviving and not surviving. It's a big subject that we have regarding glyphosate and what's in the soil and what the bees are carrying, and how a lot of us feel it's affecting their ability to navigate properly, and it's getting into the wax, which is then it's compounding.
Hey, you just don't think of those things as a...
It gets stored in the wax. They bring it back on them, and then they make the wax, and then the pesticides, that
neonicotinoids.
Yeah, they're in the wax. So because of that, we're forced to change our wax out every few years to alleviate that. And when you have a full foundation of fresh wax, that's like gold to us, to a beekeeper, because it takes them a long time to pull that wax out. You know, because before the queen can lay any eggs, she needs that foundation pulled out. So if you have a fresh frame, it takes a long time for them to pull that out before she can lay any eggs. So for us to have to change that wax out
it's very hard on the beekeeper and very hard on the bees. You know, they have a lot more work to do.
Now, you just talked about the queens. Tell me about the importance of the queens.
The queen, there's one queen in the hive, and she dictates the temperament of the hive. She dictates what the bees do, the worker bees. But the workers also dictate to her. If she's not up to snuff, they have something to say about it as well. But she will control. If you have an ornery hive or a hive that's not so nice, you know, like a lot of them are very docile, very, very docile. Every now and again you get a mean hive. You could actually replace that queen and it would change the whole temperament of the hive.
So your hives form their own queen, right?
Well, we buy packages of bees. They come in a 2-pound or 3-pound package, and they come with the queen. And then we install those packages.
You have to do that every year?
Well, if you can overwinter them, but it's hard to keep the bees alive through the winter.
It's hard in Wisconsin to do that.
Yes.
So you're getting your bees from the south or west or something?
Mostly California. Mostly from California they get shipped in.
I see. So you have to
Some people
rejuvenate your hives often, or essentially every year.
Yeah. Well, last year we had about a 60% it stayed alive. So better than 50%. Some people lost 60%, some people lost 70%, you know, so we did okay last year.
So if you have 60%, that's enough to rejuvenate your hive yourself without having to buy any more bees?
Yes, it depends. You can, in the spring, if you have a strong hive that made it through winter, you can split that colony, and you can just buy a queen and introduce the queen to the new colony. You can let them raise their own queen. You have to find some queen cells, and you can let them raise their own queen. It's the best. It's called a walk-away split. You just kind of get some queen cells and stuff, and you let them do their thing. It's not a real successful way to go. So if you want to keep the bees, sometimes you're better just spending a couple bucks getting the queen, introducing her to the hive, and let them go. We did 3 splits last year, and they all did very well for us this year.
Now you talked about swarming. What is swarming?
A swarm is the bee's natural reproduction. When the hive gets so overcrowded with bees and the queen has no more place to lay her eggs and there's just too many bees to space, they make a decision to split themselves. I split them in the spring for them. That's we want to control them. They split by themselves. So the queen will leave with about 2/3 of the colony, and they'll take as much honey as they can. And if you can catch the swarm, you're okay. A lot of times it'll swarm when you're not around, but if
It'll
you
go in a spot where you can't get
maybe
to.
too high in a tree. We do have a member in the club that has a bucket truck, so he can get up 40 some feet if we have to. So that's come in real handy.
So if you can't capture the swarm, they become wild?
Yes, yep, and they'll find a spot to make their home.
Okay.
What they'll do is they'll send out scout bees, and scout bees will go out and find different spots that they think, then they'll all come back and they'll make a collective decision. Where do we want to go? And the bees will actually butt heads until one says, my spot's better than yours. No, my spot's better than yours. And then they'll decide. Then they'll leave the hive and they'll all gather someplace, and that's the swarm you catch. After they all gather outside the hive, then they leave to the spot that they selected. If you can catch them in that spot before and put them in a hive with comb and some honey, they're more than happy to stay there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right. Do you have anything else that you think that we should talk about?
Well, there's lots to talk about when it comes to bees. We can talk bees all day.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have that much today.
Yeah.
I think this is a real good start. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bob.
Okay, we extracted the honey. Now we're going to take and put it through these coarse strainers, and that's going to get a lot of the big chunks of wax out and any bees that might have got in there. And then it'll come off this gate into another bucket, and then we have a finer strainer that it go through for final straining.
Okay.
So dump her in there, Shane.
Now that's all your honey, right, Shane?
Yes, it is.
Dump her in there.
So are you expecting to get that much?
I think so.
Didn't know first time, right?
And it goes slow because it will start backing up. Find a stool. Okay, after we run it through the coarse screen on top to get the big chunks of wax out, we run it through this screen, and it's a 2-part screen. It has a little finer one than what's there, and a real fine one on the bottom. So it does take some time for the honey to strain through, but after we go through here, it's ready for bottling. We don't filter it or strain it any farther than that. So this just sits on the bucket.
Now, would that be called raw honey?
Yes, yeah. We don't heat it. You never want to heat your honey above 110 degrees. So we never heat our honey. It's just strained through here. It's never filtered. I don't never filter. Some people may. I never filter. I never heat it. Once you start filling up there, then you want to shut it down. It takes some time to go through there.
Hi.
Hi.
And what's your name?
My name is Tracy. I'm with the Dodge-Jefferson Beekeepers Association, and today we're doing a club honey extraction. And one of the things we do when we extract honey is we measure the moisture content of the extracted honey. Ideally, honey should be at a 17.1 or lower moisture content. Anything over 17.9, 18% is considered too wet, too high in moisture, so then we would have to figure out how to dry it down. So this tool right here is a refractometer, and this measures the moisture content in the extracted honey.
So where is the honey right now?
The honey right now is in the honey house that we're
No,
extracting.
you're talking about
the
your-
honey in here, we just put a drop of honey on the inside of this. I'm going to open this up. On the inside of this refractometer, a drop of honey. We close it up, and then we're going to hold it up to the light, and Shane's going to take a look at it and tell us what the measurement reads at. So
This is Shane's honey, isn't it?
this is Shane Lappin's honey, yes.
It's upside down. It's just under 18.
Just under 18? Okay.
Okay, so we're out in the bee yard. This hive right here is the swarm that we caught earlier in spring, or no, it was later, midsummer. Midsummer we caught this swarm. One of the hives that we have in our other yard in front has swarmed, and we caught this one, so we didn't get any honey out of this hive today. But I'd like to get in here and see how the queen is doing, because she left with the swarm, and now she's in here, and the original hive has made its own queen. We were in there yesterday, and they got a queen in there, and she's doing good. So we're going to open this up. I'm going to give them a little smoke with my smoker. Smoke kind of calms them down, makes them relax. So they don't, it kind of dulls their defense mechanism, so they're a little easier to work with. They're very docile. They probably don't need any smoke, but I always like to just give them a little bit just to make sure. So we give a little in the entrance, upper entrance, let them know we're here. I like to give them a little smoke under the cover when we're getting in there. This is the outer cover. And we have an inner cover.
You will not be extracting honey from this at all this year?
No, we didn't get any honey on this one. This is the swarmed hive. If we were getting honey, we'd have another box on top like this. This is the honey super.
Oh, okay. So the two bottom ones are for...
That's for making babies.
Ah, okay. And the thinner ones on top are then the honey ones.
Right.
So how many high can you go with these?
As much room as you need.
Oh,
We had a hive last year that had at least 5 high of supers. It was gigantic. It was taller than me. It was a super hive.
now these are all cells then with bees, huh?
I'm going to try and find some brood for you, Bob, here.
This one will kind of show you though, I don't know, I'll get a little bit closer. On my right hand side, you can see how they have pulled the comb and it's raised. And if you look on the left, it's completely flat still. They have not drawn out the comb on that side. So they have to finish drawing the comb all the way across. There's actually honey inside here right now.
Okay, Bob, come over. You'll be okay. So this is a nice frame. You can see in the middle, all this, like opposed to the other ones in there, was capped honey.
Mm-hmm.
This is capped brood. So the queen will lay an egg in the cell. After 3 days, they'll cap it. In 21 days, a bee will be born. A worker bee. So as you can see here, there's all this capped around the outside. So she'd start laid here, and then she works on an outward pattern. So all these bees in the middle have hatched. Now these ones on the outside will be hatching.
Is the queen in there?
Well, she's on here someplace.
On that one?
I don't know if she's on this one.
Okay.
I would have to look through them.
Yeah, I understand.
It'd be great if it was that easy and I can show her to you. But I have, there's 20 of these in there right now, so she could be on any of them.
Okay.
Oh, you can look for her.
Yeah, this one is all hatching, so I can't imagine she's on this one. She's probably on another one. She's probably in the lower box.
Okay.
Sometimes you can find her, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it takes you a couple hours to find her. I just usually look to make sure that I see eggs. You can look in the bottom of the cells. You can see eggs. After 3 days, they're capped, or after 3 days they turn to larvae. I'm sorry. The eggs will hatch to little larvae, and then they'll be capped in 9 days. And then I will. Then they look like little worms, little larvae in there, little pupas in there. And then as long as I see the eggs and larvae, I know she's laying. And I know she's good. It's a good pattern. She's laying well in a good pattern. You want to make sure it's a solid, not that it's real spotty, like some here, some there. It's a very, very good pattern. I don't see her on this one. I'll pull another frame out and see if we can get lucky. So again, this is another nice frame. Most of these have hatched out already. Down here in the corner, you see these bigger cells. That's where they make drones. Drones are a male bee. Male bees are stingless. They can't sting you. Their sole purpose is to mate with the queen if needed. They don't clean up after themselves. They don't feed themselves. They don't do anything. If you have a good queen, they don't do anything. And it sounds nice to be a drone until October comes. Once October comes, all the girls kick them out because they don't want to feed them all winter. So they kick them out and they make new ones. But it's healthy. It's a healthy hive to have drones. If you don't have drones, you don't have a healthy hive. So I'm just going to look quick.
You should say how you're finding what the queen looks like.
The queen is bigger than the rest of the worker bees. She's got a longer abdomen. It's probably 3 times as long as the worker bee, and she needs that because she has her ovaries to produce the eggs, and she needs to get that abdomen to the bottom of the cell to lay that egg in the bottom of the cell. Now she needs to fill one of these up a day, so she'll lay 1,500 to 2,000 eggs a day in all these cells.
Busy bee.
So she's working. I've heard of queens lasting 7 years, but that could be a tall tale. I don't know. They usually get as much as they're laying, 2-3 years. If you can keep your bees alive for 2-3 years, that's great. Then they'll start slowing down. You may want to requeen.
And how long have you two been beekeeping?
5 years. 5 years.
And you enjoy it?
It's addictive. It's addictive. We started with 2 hives. In the first year, went to 3 hives, then 5 hives. Now we have 9, and it'll probably maybe double that tomorrow.
And what do you do with all the honey?
We sell it at farmers markets. We give it as gifts. There's some local retail places, restaurants that will buy it by the gallon from us. Last year we harvested 540 pounds of honey. This year I think it's a little down. We had a lot of rain. With all the rain that we've had, I think the production of honey is down. The rain washes the nectar off the flowers, and then the bees have a hard time getting it. So with all the rain we had, I think it's going to be a short year, but I think we'll still have close to 400. So.
Well, thank you very much. This is very, very interesting.
Thanks.